amazing to see young people who are so talented coming together and working on the same page. But I think it leads well into what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'll just say that I was raised in a place where Jimi Hendrix and Purple Haze was played, while Mick Jagger was lacking satisfaction. It was round about the time when all the women fell out when they saw Michael Jackson. See, my pops played the guitar on the regular and moms held down the vocal lead. They were a local folk group that put the music in me. Had me on stage at the age of 3 in front of hundreds singing the Battle Hymn of New Orleans. Now I'm 32 when it's plain to see I've been through 6 years of college, got 2 degrees, wife, kids, my own family. I'll just sum it up by saying God's been good to me. And my whole journey in life has taught me a lot of things. I grew up in a place called Freeport, Illinois. Now, for those of you who don't know where that's at, it's about hour and a half, hour 45 minutes west of the city of Chicago. And in Freeport, Illinois, it was a really diverse environment. I saw all kinds of things growing up, got the chance to meet all kinds of different people, and was really influenced by many different cultures as a child. Around about 17 years old, my parents picked me up from Freeport, Illinois, and moved me from this really diverse community called Freeport to this really homogenous community on the west side of the state of Michigan called Paw Paw. Now, I'm known to tell people that Paw Paw is actually French for the middle of nowhere. I can't prove that's the case, but I know it to be true. And so when I came to Paw Paw, I hated everything about it because I was used to the diverse community that I came from, and I didn't know how to exist in such a homogenous, and I'm being generous, homogenous community. And so on top of that, you've got to then go to school. And I don't know about you all, but I was that kind of kid that grew up and had a love-hate relationship with math and science. And what I mean by love-hate with math and science is that I absolutely loved to hate math and science. I don't know what it was about math books, but whenever I would open them up, it was like I had an allergic reaction and my hands would begin to itch and had to just right off my desk because I couldn't do it. So not only did I hate the community that I was in, not only did I hate the fact that I had to learn about math and science, but I'm in my math and science class, and I have a math class that is functions, statistics, and trigonometry. Who puts those 3 things together? My math teacher is a 6'6" basketball coach, and I'm not saying this to make fun of him, but as an extrovert, little things distract you. And my 6'6" basketball coach, that's not the little thing. The 6'6" basketball coach who also taught function statistics and trigonometry had this thing going on where every time that he spoke, his eyes blinked. And as he was talking, this is what you was, and as an extrovert, you can't concentrate when that's going on. So not only do I hate the community that I'm in, not only do I hate the fact that I got to take math classes, but I can't even focus in the math class that I'm in. But I have a moment of clarity when I heard something that I could connect to. When Mr. Pierce says that you can take all of math and science and you can break it down into one simple principle. And that one simple principle is you see a pattern, you can make a rule. For some reason, that stuck with me. Think about it for a second. You see a pattern, you make a rule. You add an even number and an even number, you get a... Oh, somebody said, okay. Let's try this one more time. You add an even number and an even number, and you get a... Even number. Thank you. You add an odd number and an odd number, and you get a... Oh. I see I'm not the only one who was allergic to math classes. When you add an odd number and an odd number, you get an even number. This is the basis of mathematics. We can see a pattern, we can make rules, we can build entire systems off of this principle. Calculus, functions, statistics, trigonometry. All these things can be built off of that. You can look at science too in the periodic table. The periodic table is nothing but this large set of patterns and rules. You have certain things on one side, certain things on the other side, and you can build all of these things from it. You can take, for example, all these elements and put them together and get great cleaning supplies like ammonia. Ammonia is a phenomenal cleaner. Bill and Tim talked earlier about business principles, so you take another phenomenal cleaner, bleach, right? You can make bleach out of these things on the periodic table, and it's a phenomenal cleaner. Why not put both of them together and sell it? Because you get the ultimate cleaner and it will suck the life right out of you. So we can see a pattern and we can make this rule that when you mix ammonia and bleach, you get a reaction that you don't want to deal with. All right? So sometimes these patterns and these rules benefit us, sometimes they protect us, but you can look at things even like the English language. And I know it's not math and science, but with the English language, you see patterns, subject, predicate, noun, verb, tense agreement, and you get beautiful languages. The poem that you heard before the choir got up here, you get beautiful things. So you see that pattern and you make that rule. But the thing is that all of these things are inanimate objects. All of these things are things that don't have any sort of variable, really, I mean, some of them do, to their reaction, but usually they act pretty consistent. And what I'm awfully afraid of is that we take this same principle of seeing a pattern and making a rule with inanimate objects, and we transfer it over into our interaction with human beings. The problem is that I can't work with people in the same way that I work with adding an even and an even, and I know I'm going to get an even because the responses will be different. I know that I can't just categorize everyone into small little groups as much as I would like to try, like I can with the periodic table. I can't conjugate a person like I can a verb. Well, you can't, never mind. So what I'm saying is that, somebody just caught that. Where I'm going with this is that I get awfully afraid that we see patterns and we make rules with people, and this is what we call stereotypes. So that's what I want to talk to you all about, is just the science of stereotypes really quick. And to use that, I want to go back to the early 1900s. And I want to introduce you to a gentleman whose name was born, when he was born, was Konstanty Francis Yastrzębski. Now, he was the first person born in his Polish family here in the States. All of his older brothers and sisters were born back home in Poland, but they came over with him. When he gets out into the American workforce, he learns that people have already maybe kind of seen a pattern of a few Polish people making some unwise decisions, and that leads to a stereotype being built that Polish people are stupid. And so he doesn't want to be viewed as the dumb Polak in the workforce. So what does he do? He completely buys into the American dream and changes his name from Konstanty Francis Yastrzębski to Frank K. Jason. Now, some of you have already caught on that's my last name. And some people may wonder, how did you get the last name? Well, I just taught you something, all right? My last name is Jason because my grandfather didn't want to be perceived as the dumb Polak in the American workforce. He realized very soon that as a Polish American, the glass ceiling is set pretty low when he wanted to sell advertising space for the Chicago Tribune. Now, we can move from that to looking at one of the great American classics, cinematic classics of all time. Some of you maybe have seen this movie called White Chicks. Now, White Chicks is based off of completely stereotypical behavior that maybe we've seen patterns and made rules about But it didn't just materialize out of nowhere. We've seen some of these kinds of things before. So when you see Shawn Wayans saying, oopsie, I made a poopsie, they're attempts to make fun of. And these are stereotypes that people have to deal with. You ever notice when people start talking about blonde women, they automatically go into this like, oh my God voice. And like, it just kind of happens like this. And I don't know what it's all about, but they just do it. Now, so you've got that stereotype, and then you have, like, okay, so we're black males. Now, I could tell you about how, like, if I was at Paw Paw and there was a young black man who moved in and automatically everybody thought we were headed to state in the basketball tournament. Or all of a sudden, like, he was going to win all the dance competitions. Because the other side of that stereotype is that white people can't dance. And I'd argue that if you've ever been to an Eastern Michigan basketball game and they play the cha-cha slide, there may be some truth to that rumor. But what I'm saying is that you can also move on over to black women and see, I'd had a young woman who was a friend one time, and she went to a conference, and she was in high school. And when she got into her hotel room, she had roommates from Montana. And her roommates from Montana said that they had never seen a black person in real life before. And she was the first one that they had ever seen. And they just sat and stared and couldn't believe that she didn't talk like Pam and Gina from Martin. Because that was what their pattern and rule had become. So what I'm saying is this. We see these patterns, we see these rules, we see these stereotypes that are out there. I have 3 suggestions that I want to offer people in order to not buy into the stereotypical mindset. Because I know most of us would like to believe that we all are the living, breathing embodiment of Dr. King's dream, and that we all walk around judging always and only on the content of people's character, and never take a look at the color of their skin, their national heritage, their sexual preference, their perceived disability, their physical appearance, and it's all content of character. But the bottom line is these things all creep into our decision-making process. And when they creep up into our decision-making process and we start to use our power and make decisions that adversely affect people, we have a real problem on our hands. And here in America, we have a real problem on our hands. So the 3 points that I want to make really quickly, and then I'm out of your way, is that 1, I want to challenge people when you leave this place to sit down by yourself, not on Facebook, not on MySpace, the new MySpace, not on Twitter, but make a list of every stereotype that you have ever heard. Just write it out. That doesn't necessarily mean that you believe it, but write it out. After you've written that list out, second thing I want to ask you to do is go ahead and be honest with yourself. Have a moment of introspection and put a check mark by which one you've maybe believed a little bit. After you've gone through that list, after you've made those checkpoints, and I'm hurrying because I see my time is coming down. That iPad's pretty cool. But see, I'm an extrovert, like squirrel. So, but what I want to challenge you to do, I just messed up a completely serious moment. What I want to challenge you to do is then begin fact-finding. After you've looked at these stereotypes that you've begun to admit that maybe you've bought into a little bit. And fact-finding, we live in an age where there's all kinds of access to information. You can do it online, or maybe you can start to get to know people who don't look so much like you. Last point that I want to make here really quickly is that I started off by saying that we see patterns, we make rules. I just want to ask people to give people and individuals the freedom to see a pattern, but give them the opportunity to break the rules. My name is Keith, and that's my time.